The stars shone cold and distant, stretching endlessly across the black canvas of space. Commander Leora stood on the observation deck of the orbital station above Earth, staring at the tiny dot of blue and green below. She had spent her life among the stars, yet nothing about them ever stopped feeling new. Yet today, something unusual disturbed the calm of the familiar night sky. A signal had reached Earth hours ago. It was not from any human colony, not from any known spacecraft, but from deep beyond human-settled space. The signal was clear, polite, and persistent. It carried words that chilled some humans and inspired fear in others. A request for refuge. The senders called themselves the Veyari. No one had ever met them. Yet they claimed that their homeworld had been destroyed by a cosmic disaster. Their fleet, small but well-maintained, drifted silently through space seeking sanctuary. Many humans debated what to do. Some argued that the Veyari could bring unknown technologies, knowledge that could help humanity thrive. Others feared the unknown, insisting that humans should not risk sharing resources with strangers who might become enemies. Earth's Council called an emergency meeting. Commander Leora watched the session from a live feed, her mind racing. The council chambers were filled with tension. Humans of all races and backgrounds spoke, their faces etched with worry and suspicion. They could be spies, one council member said, his voice sharp and filled with distrust. We cannot trust them. Humanity has survived on its own for centuries. Why should we risk everything for aliens we do not know? Another council member shook her head. Their homeworld is gone. They are refugees, not enemies. We are not cruel. Humanity has the ability to help. We should at least send a team to meet them, to understand them before we reject them. The debate raged on for hours. Commander Leora listened silently, knowing that fear often spoke louder than reason. She understood that humans were protective of their home, cautious of change, yet she also believed in something stronger than fear. Humanity's ability to show compassion, even to those completely different from themselves. Finally, the council reached a decision. Earth would not allow the Veyari to land. They could stay in orbit for a short while, but no human colony would take them in. The message was clear. Go home. Humanity cannot help you. Commander Leora's heart sank. She had hoped that humans would act differently. The Veyari had not threatened anyone. They simply wanted help. Yet humanity's fear was stronger than empathy this time. The Veyari fleet entered Earth's orbit cautiously. Their ships were elegant, smooth, and glowing faintly with a light of their own. They did not resemble anything humans had built. They hovered silently, as if aware of the tension below, waiting for a response that had already been decided. From the observation deck, Leora could see them. They were tall, with elongated forms that shimmered in the reflection of Earth's sun. Their eyes, large and gentle, seemed to carry centuries of wisdom and sorrow. And yet, despite the council's harsh decision, they did not show anger. They only waited. Leora requested special clearance to speak with the Veyari personally. The council reluctantly agreed, curious why she, a commander and diplomat, felt compelled to do what the council would not. When she boarded her shuttle and approached the alien fleet, she felt a strange mix of awe and fear. The Veyari welcomed her aboard their flagship with quiet dignity. Their language was melodic, and though different from any human tongue, their translator made their words clear. Commander Leora, the Veyari said, bowing slightly, we do not wish to harm. Our world is gone and we seek a place to live, even if only temporarily. We ask for understanding, nothing more. Leora's voice was steady but soft. I understand your plight. I am here because I believe humanity can do better than fear. But the council, they are afraid. They do not trust you. I wish I could change that. One of the Veyari, a being who called itself Nirael, tilted its head in a gesture that seemed like curiosity. Fear is natural. We feel it in your words. But fear should not prevent kindness. You humans are capable of more. Leora felt a spark of hope. Perhaps someone in humanity would listen if they could see the Veyari as she did. Not as strangers, but as beings deserving of compassion. She spent hours aboard the Veyari flagship, learning about their culture, their history, and their loss. The Veyari had once thrived on a beautiful planet filled with vast oceans, forests, and skies of shifting colors. They had built great cities of crystal and light, and their people lived in harmony with technology that respected nature. Yet in a single catastrophic event, their world had been shattered. Millions had perished, and the survivors now drifted through space seeking shelter. They have nothing left, Leora whispered to herself as she returned to her shuttle. No home, no friends, just hope. Back on Earth, the Council continued to debate. They saw only potential risks, the strain on resources, the unknown capabilities of the Veyari, and the fear of letting outsiders influence humanity's future. Leora's report did little to sway them. Many humans simply could not imagine helping a species so different from their own. Despite the rejection, the Veyari did not leave. They remained in orbit, silent and patient. They sent messages to every human colony, hoping that someone somewhere would extend a hand. But everywhere they went, they were met with refusal. Colonies cited scarcity, fear, and politics. Some even warned the Veyari to leave immediately. Leora could not stand idly by. She knew that humanity's potential for greatness was greater than its fear. She began to secretly communicate with the Veyari, offering advice on how to survive in orbit and how to maintain hope despite rejection. One evening, as Earth's sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the planet, Leora stood again on the observation deck. She thought about the Veyari fleet floating silently above her. They were not invaders. They were survivors. They were not threats. They were teachers in patience, resilience, and dignity. Her mind wandered to a question she could not answer. What if humanity's greatest moment is not when it conquers, but when it chooses to show compassion when no one else will? The stars shimmered quietly as if listening. And somewhere across the black void of space, the Veyari waited, patient, dignified, and filled with hope. Commander Leora knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity's choice was coming, and she vowed to be ready. No matter how difficult the path, night fell on Earth and the world slept, unaware that its first true test of character had arrived, not against war, hunger, or disease, but against fear itself. Commander Leora watched the Veyari silently, feeling a quiet determination rise in her chest. If humanity failed now, she would still try to make a difference. If humanity succeeded, the stars themselves would shine a little brighter. And somewhere in the distance, the Veyari's gentle lights twinkled against the black, like a promise that even in the darkest moments, hope could survive. The arrival had begun. Humanity had made its first choice, and the consequences would echo across the stars. The Veyari fleet glided silently through the black of space, their sleek, shimmering ships moving as one. Commander Leora watched their progress from Earth orbit, feeling a mixture of hope and worry. The Veyari had not left even after Earth's rejection. They remained patient, their dignity intact, but the universe around them was vast and unknown. Leora's thoughts were interrupted by a signal from the Veyari flagship. Nereal's melodic voice filled her shuttle's communication system. Commander Leora, we are proceeding to nearby human colonies. Perhaps they will understand our plight when Earth did not. We do not wish conflict. We wish shelter. Leora nodded, though she knew it would not be easy. Human colonies were spread across dozens of star systems, each with its own leadership, culture, and fears. Some were young settlements still struggling to survive. Others were well-established worlds with advanced technology and thriving populations. Yet the Veyari carried nothing but hope, humility, and a story of survival. Their first stop was Nova Prime, a mining colony on the edge of human space. Nova Prime's citizens had long faced hardships, limited resources, harsh weather, and difficult living conditions. They had learned to depend on themselves and feared outsiders, even more than scarcity. When the Veyari fleet arrived in orbit, Nova Prime's council called an emergency session. The Veyari sent a message: "We seek no harm. We ask only for refuge. Our home is gone. Please allow us to land." The council responded with caution and coldness. "We cannot help you," they said. "Our resources are scarce. Your presence could endanger our survival. Leave immediately." The Veyari did not argue. They remained above the planet, calm, awaiting another answer. Leora watched, her heart heavy. She had hoped humanity would see reason, but fear seemed stronger than compassion. Still, she could not abandon them. She sent encrypted messages to the colony council, explaining the Veyari's peaceful nature. "They are not enemies," she wrote. "They are survivors, like us in many ways. Their technology is advanced, but it is designed to preserve life, not destroy it. Please reconsider." Her words went unanswered. Nova Prime refused. The Veyari left with quiet dignity, their lights dimming as they continued their journey. The next stop was Aurelia, a lush agricultural colony known for its fertile fields and peaceful citizens. Aurelia's leaders were curious but cautious. They invited a Veyari delegation to present themselves on a neutral space platform. The Veyari arrived with elegance, their movements smooth and deliberate. Neriel spoke gently to the Aurelians. "We do not wish to take your land. We ask only for temporary shelter, for safety and for understanding." The Aurelian leaders listened, but fear shadowed their faces. "We cannot risk our food supply," one said. "Your fleet is large. Even if your intentions are good, the risk to our people is too great." The Veyari remained respectful. They explained that they could sustain themselves for months in orbit, using minimal resources. Yet the Aurelians' fear persisted. They refused. The Veyari left once again with no resentment, only quiet sorrow. Leora felt the weight of each refusal. She had expected some skepticism, but the sheer scale of human rejection surprised her. Every colony they visited spoke of fear, scarcity, and politics. They did not see the hope, courage, or dignity that the Veyari carried. Despite this, the Veyari did not lose hope. They continued from system to system, their lights shimmering against the darkness, a silent reminder that they had nowhere else to go. During their travels, Leora secretly communicated with the Veyari. She shared information about human colonies, their leaders, their fears, and their ways. She guided the Veyari fleet around potential dangers and helped them avoid misunderstandings. She watched them learn quickly, adapting to each colony's customs, always careful not to offend. Yet not all humans were passive observers. Some militias saw the Veyari as a threat. Reports came in of ships attempting to block the Veyari from landing, of automated defenses targeting their smaller crafts. But the Veyari did not retaliate. They maneuvered with care, avoiding conflict. Their restraint amazed Leora. One evening, as the fleet drifted through a particularly empty sector of space, Leora spoke to Neriel privately. "Why do you not fight back?" she asked. Neriel's voice was calm, almost musical. "Commander, conflict will not give us a home. Anger will not restore what we have lost. We survive through patience, through understanding, and through dignity. If humanity cannot see this, we must hope for those who can." Leora felt a deep respect for the Veyari. They had lost everything, yet they carried themselves with a strength humans rarely witnessed. Their courage was quiet but unshakable, and it reminded her of the best qualities humanity could possess: compassion, endurance, and hope. The fleet's next destination was Titania, a mining and research world that had prospered through innovation. Titania's leaders were proud and competitive, believing themselves to be the most advanced colony in human space. When the Veyari arrived, they were met with skepticism and fear. A Titanian scientist asked, "Why should we help you? What guarantee do we have that your technology will not harm us? We have worked hard to build this colony. We cannot risk outsiders disrupting our progress." The Veyari responded calmly, showing demonstrations of their technology, which focused on healing, energy efficiency, and sustainability. But even this did not sway the Titians. Fear outweighed curiosity. They refused to help. Leora was frustrated but determined. She continued to send secret communications, explaining the peaceful nature of the Veyari. She tried to convince humans that true greatness was measured not by power or wealth, but by compassion and courage. Yet even with her efforts, rejection followed them like a shadow. Some colonies were polite but firm. Others were harsh and unwelcoming. The Veyari faced a pattern repeated across human space. Hope met with fear, dignity met with suspicion, and courage met with rejection. Still, the Veyari did not despair. Neriel often reminded Leora, "Commander, humanity is capable of greatness. You will see. Fear is a challenge, not a barrier. Patience and understanding will be rewarded." Leora clung to these words. She believed in humanity's potential. She knew humans could rise above fear if given the chance. She also understood that the Veyari were teaching a lesson humanity desperately needed to learn. That greatness was measured not by conquest or strength, but by the courage to choose compassion when it is difficult. As the fleet traveled to the farthest human colonies, tensions grew. Some militias became hostile, attempting to chase the Veyari away. Some humans began to spread fear, claiming the Veyari might be spies, saboteurs, or worse. Leora knew these rumors were baseless. but she also knew fear was infectious. During one particularly tense encounter near a remote colony, a group of automated defense drones fired warning shots. The Vaeri navigated carefully, avoiding harm to themselves and others. Leora's heart pounded as she witnessed their restraint. Even when humanity responded with hostility, the Vaeri showed no anger. Their patience, their dignity, and their moral strength were extraordinary. Through it all, Leora became a quiet ally. She documented every encounter, every rejection, and every act of courage displayed by the Vaeri. She sent anonymous reports to Earth and other colonies, hoping that someday humans would see the truth, that even in rejection, the Vaeri showed qualities that humanity should aspire to: patience, dignity, courage, and hope. Finally, after months of travel, the Vaeri fleet turned its course toward Earth again. Every human colony had rejected them, some politely, some harshly, but all had refused to offer help. They returned to the blue planet, their lights dimmed with sorrow yet unbroken in spirit. Commander Leora watched from orbit, feeling a heavy weight in her chest. She knew what awaited them. Earth would repeat the same words it had said before. Humanity would demand that they leave, but she also knew something else. Humanity had the potential to change. The test had begun. As Earth rotated slowly below, Leora whispered to herself, "If humanity can learn anything from this, it must be that greatness is not measured in fear, but in courage and compassion. We have the choice to rise or to fail, and I will do everything I can to make sure we rise." The Vaeri waited above Earth's blue oceans, patient, dignified, and filled with hope. They had faced rejection across the stars, yet they carried no anger. Only the quiet determination to survive and the unwavering belief that one day, humanity would see the truth, and somewhere deep inside, Commander Leora knew that the moment of choice, the moment humanity would face its first true test, was coming. The stars shone cold and distant, but even among them hope glimmered bright and enduring. The Vaeri fleet hovered silently above Earth, their elegant ships reflecting the sunlight like jewels scattered across the dark sky. After months of traveling through human space, seeking help and facing rejection at every turn, they had returned to the only place that could still make a decision, their final hope and their greatest challenge, Earth itself. Commander Leora stood on the observation deck of her shuttle, her eyes fixed on the alien fleet. Their calm, glowing presence was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Niriel's voice came over the communications line, soft and melodic. "Commander Leora," Niriel said, "we have returned to the place where our request began. We do not wish to force entry. We only seek understanding. We hope humanity can see the truth of our hearts." Leora nodded. She wished she could make the Council understand. "I hope they will," she whispered. "But I fear fear itself may guide their choice, not reason." On Earth, the Council had prepared a strict ultimatum. Their message was firm, unyielding. Leave orbit immediately. Humanity cannot accept your presence. Return to the stars or face consequences. The Vaeri received the message with dignity. They did not reply with anger, only with a request to meet with Earth's representatives. The Council debated whether to allow such a meeting. Many feared that interacting with the aliens might undermine humanity's authority, while others quietly hoped that dialogue could prevent disaster. Finally, a meeting was scheduled in a secure orbital station above the Pacific Ocean. Commander Leora was allowed to accompany the Vaeri as an observer, a bridge between two species. The council chamber was cold and formal, its walls gleaming with polished metal. Representatives from every nation stood behind reinforced barriers, watching as the Vaeri ships docked with quiet precision. Niriel and two other Vaeri stepped forward, their tall, luminous forms moving with grace. "Council of Earth," Niriel said, their voice calm and measured. "We come in peace. Our world was destroyed by forces beyond our control. We seek refuge, not conquest. We ask only for understanding, for a chance to survive." A council member, Councillor Rin, stepped forward, his expression stern. "We have already made our position clear. Humanity cannot risk its future for unknown beings. Your fleet will leave orbit immediately. Do not test our patience." Niriel bowed slightly. "We do not seek conflict. We only ask that our story be heard, that humanity sees us not as threats but as survivors. We do not ask for your world. We ask for hope." The council murmured among themselves, voices rising in tension. Many representatives were afraid. imagining scenarios of alien invasion, of technology that could control humans, or of unknown diseases. Fear had a loud voice in the chamber, louder than reason or empathy. Leora stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Council members, please listen. The Veyari have traveled across human space. They have visited colonies far and near. Everywhere they went, they were met with rejection. And yet they never harmed anyone. They never retaliated against hostility. They have shown courage, patience, and dignity. They deserve to be seen for what they are, not what fear imagines. The council's chairman, Councillor Halvik, leaned forward. Commander Leora, your sympathy is noted, but this is not a matter of emotion. We must protect Earth. We cannot gamble the safety of billions on the goodwill of aliens we barely understand. Niriel's voice was calm, but filled with a quiet sadness. Counselor, we do not ask for your trust blindly. We offer knowledge, cooperation, and a shared future. Fear may guide your words, but I ask you to consider hope. Will humanity choose compassion over fear? Will humanity rise to meet the challenge of greatness? The chamber was silent. For a moment, even the counselor seemed to pause, reflecting on the words of the Veyari. Leora watched the scene unfold, heart pounding. The Veyari were not just asking for survival. They were challenging humanity's moral compass. But not all humans were ready to see. Counselor Rin's eyes hardened. We cannot allow sentiment to cloud judgment. You have no place here. Leave now or face consequences. The Veyari did not argue. They remained calm, as if the council's threats were words that would pass through them without effect. Their dignity shone brighter than the fear in the chamber. After the meeting, Leora returned to her shuttle with Nirael. It seems the council will not change its mind, she said quietly. They fear what they do not understand. Nirael's eyes glowed faintly. Commander, fear is strong, but it is not permanent. Humans are capable of more. You will see. Leora wanted to believe this. She wanted to believe that humans could rise above fear and make the right choice. But the council's decision was clear. The Veyari had no place on Earth. The days that followed were tense. The council issued statements to the media, warning of the alien threat and insisting that humans remain vigilant. Some civilians panicked while others protested, calling for compassion. Leora found herself mediating between factions, explaining that the Veyari were peaceful and that rejection could cost humanity more than it saved. Meanwhile, the Veyari maintained a calm presence in orbit. Their ships glimmered softly against the night sky, a silent reminder that they were not invaders, not aggressors, but survivors in need of understanding. One evening, Leora visited the Veyari fleet again. She walked through their ships, observing how they lived in harmony with their environment. There were no weapons displayed unnecessarily. Energy flowed efficiently. Every aspect of their technology respected life. They are remarkable, Leora whispered. Even after everything, they carry themselves with grace. Humans could learn from this. Niriel's voice came gently. Commander, humans are already learning. Even if some reject us now, others will see. You are helping humanity see the truth of our hearts. That is the first step. As Earth prepared for a final warning to the Veyari, a small council faction proposed an unusual experiment. Allow a temporary settlement on a remote orbital platform, purely as a test. The idea was met with both excitement and outrage. Some council members saw it as a compromise, a way to prevent open conflict. Others viewed it as dangerous and unnecessary. Leora advocated strongly for the proposal. This is humanity's chance to rise above fear, she argued. We cannot measure greatness only by caution. We must also measure it by courage, compassion, and wisdom. Let us show the universe and ourselves that humans can make the right choice. The proposal narrowly passed. The Veyari were allowed to settle temporarily on an uninhabited orbital station far above the Pacific, under observation by Earth authorities. They accepted the offer with gratitude but remained dignified, refusing to celebrate or gloat. From this temporary settlement, the Veyari began to learn more about humanity, sharing their own culture in return. They demonstrated advanced medical technology, energy systems, and methods of sustainable living. Some humans began to see their value, not as invaders but as partners, as beings with knowledge and wisdom worth sharing. Yet tensions remained. Fear still lingered in the hearts of many. Militias monitored the Veyari closely. Media outlets sensationalized every movement. The council watched with suspicion. ready to enforce the ultimatum if they believed humans were at risk. Through it all, Leora remained a bridge. She spent hours explaining the Veyari's ways, helping humans understand the aliens and helping the Veyari navigate human customs. She saw small victories, individuals opening their minds, civilians reaching out to communicate, and young scientists inspired by the Veyari's knowledge. But the Council's final ultimatum loomed. They reminded the Veyari that their stay was temporary. Humanity's fear had not vanished. The choice before Earth remained stark: reject compassion and uphold fear, or embrace understanding and rise to a higher moral standard. Neriel spoke to Leora one quiet night. "Commander, humanity's test is not over. Fear is strong, but hope is stronger. They have seen our dignity. They have seen our restraint, and some have begun to see our value. One day humanity will choose greatness. One day they will rise." Leora gazed at the stars, her heart heavy yet filled with resolve. She knew the next phase would be critical. Earth's leaders would soon have to decide not just the fate of the Veyari, but the fate of humanity's own moral character. And high above, in the quiet shimmer of the Veyari fleet, patience and hope endured. The ultimatum had been given. Earth had spoken, but the story was far from over. The real test, the moment when humanity's courage, compassion, and wisdom would be measured, was about to begin. The Veyari fleet hovered quietly in orbit above the Pacific, their lights shimmering softly against the darkness of space. Commander Leora walked along the observation deck of the orbital station, feeling a sense of unease. For weeks, Earth had watched the Veyari with suspicion, issuing warnings, monitoring movements, and keeping civilians at a cautious distance. And yet, despite humanity's fear, the aliens had remained patient, dignified, and unyielding in their peaceful mission. But now, a new threat emerged, one that even humans could not ignore. The alert came without warning. Sensors across the solar system detected an enormous rogue asteroid, moving at unimaginable speed. It was large enough to threaten Earth, the colonies, and the orbital stations. Estimates suggested it would reach the inner system within days. Panic rippled through the council chambers and across every human colony. Commander Leora immediately contacted the Veyari fleet. "We need your help," she said. "This is bigger than politics, bigger than fear. If we cannot stop it, billions of lives could be lost." Neriel responded calmly, their melodic voice steady and reassuring. "Commander, we have prepared for many challenges. Perhaps this is the moment when humanity and the Veyari can work together. Let us combine knowledge and strength." Earth's council, despite their previous hostility, recognized the gravity of the situation. A special task force was formed, uniting human scientists, engineers, and military personnel with Veyari experts. The joint team worked day and night, analyzing the trajectory of the asteroid, calculating ways to alter its path, and designing technology that could save the planet. Leora moved among the teams, observing humans and Veyari working side by side. At first there was hesitation. Some humans were wary of trusting alien technology, and some Veyari were cautious around humans' unfamiliar methods. But as the hours passed, respect grew. Humans marveled at the efficiency, elegance, and care in the Veyari's work. The Veyari admired human ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability. In the orbital command center, Counselor Halvik addressed the team. "We have faced threats before, but never one like this. We must set aside fear, pride, and suspicion. Our only goal is survival. Together we may succeed." The first plan involved using a series of energy beams to alter the asteroid's trajectory. The Veyari demonstrated advanced energy manipulation techniques, precise and efficient. Humans adjusted the orbital stations to support these calculations, combining resources to create a network capable of redirecting the massive object. Hours turned into days. Sleep was scarce. Mistakes were dangerous. And yet, despite exhaustion and fear, collaboration flourished. Leora watched a young human engineer carefully align energy conduits with a Veyari specialist, their hands almost touching as they synchronized the complex systems. She felt hope rise within her chest. Outside the station, the asteroid drew closer. Its jagged surface reflected sunlight, casting a pale glow across the inner planets. Humanity's survival depended on precise timing, teamwork, and courage. One wrong calculation could lead to disaster. "Commander Leora," Neriel said, their voice calm amidst the urgency, Humans are learning quickly. They adapt with courage. This is the moment when fear meets strength and hope must guide action. Leora nodded. They are learning from you as well. You're showing humanity that strength is not measured by force alone, but by patience, wisdom, and cooperation. The final phase of the plan required humans and Veyari to work in perfect unison. The energy beams had to intersect with absolute precision, creating a gravitational push strong enough to divert the asteroid from its deadly path. Every second counted. As the asteroid drew nearer, tensions rose. Monitors displayed every calculation, every minor deviation, every possible risk. Counselor Rin paced the command center, muttering warnings about potential failure. Yet even he could not deny the progress made by the combined team. Leora took a deep breath. Everyone focus. This is not a test of fear or suspicion. This is a test of humanity's potential. We can rise above doubt, above prejudice, and do what is right. The energy beams activated. Light arced across the void, converging on the asteroid. Sensors monitored every angle, every shift in trajectory. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then slowly the asteroid began to adjust its path, moving away from Earth and the colonies. Cheers erupted from the human team, tempered by the knowledge that they were not yet safe. Niriel turned to Leora, their eyes glowing softly. Commander, humanity has begun to understand. They see that cooperation brings greater results than fear ever could. They are capable of greatness. But the asteroid was unpredictable. A sudden fragment broke off, hurtling toward one of the orbital stations. Alarms blared. Humans and Veyari alike sprang into action. Leora coordinated evacuation routes while Veyari energy shields absorbed the fragment's impact, saving countless lives. The moment tested every skill, every decision, and every ounce of courage. Humans and Veyari learned to trust each other instinctively, adapting to challenges with precision and care. The fear that had once separated them gave way to respect, understanding, and shared purpose. After hours of relentless effort, the asteroid finally passed safely by Earth. Its fragments redirected harmlessly into the sun. Humanity had survived. Not by isolation, not by fear, but by working together, embracing the strength that came from compassion, intelligence, and cooperation. The orbital station fell silent. Humans and Veyari alike paused to absorb the magnitude of what had just occurred. Commander Leora stood among them, her heart swelling with pride. For the first time in months, humanity had risen to meet its potential. Not through dominance, not through conquest, but through courage and unity. Counselor Halvik addressed the team. Today we have seen the truth. Fear is natural, but it is not the measure of our greatness. Compassion, cooperation, and courage are. Humans and Veyari have shown that together we can overcome even the most impossible challenges. Leora looked at the Veyari, their serene faces glowing softly. You taught us more than we realized, she whispered. Not just about survival, but about what humanity can be when it chooses the right path. Niriel inclined their head gently. Commander, your people have shown wisdom. They are capable of rising above fear. This is the moment when humanity begins to understand its true potential. You have learned, as we have, that greatness is measured not by what one takes, but by what one gives. News of the event spread across Earth and the colonies. The people witnessed how humans and Veyari had worked together, saving billions of lives from a threat no one could face alone. Public opinion shifted. Fear and suspicion began to give way to admiration and respect. Civilians reached out to Veyari in gratitude. Young scientists were inspired by their technology, and leaders realized that rejection had been a mistake. Yet, despite the victory, the Council remained cautious. They debated the future of the Veyari in Earth's orbit, balancing fear with newfound respect. Some Council members wanted to maintain strict limits. Others saw an opportunity to embrace cooperation fully. Commander Leora knew the next step was crucial. Humanity had proven it could rise above fear when faced with disaster. But now they had to choose whether to extend that courage and compassion beyond necessity, to welcome the Veyari fully, and to embrace a future built on cooperation rather than isolation. Niriel addressed the human team one final time before returning to their fleet. Today, humanity has made a choice, not the easy choice, but the correct one. You have shown that courage and cooperation can overcome fear. This is the true measure of greatness. We hope that humanity will continue to rise, not only for themselves but for all who share the stars. As the Veyari fleet returned to their positions in orbit, their lights reflected off Earth's oceans, a reminder of patience, dignity, and hope. Commander Leora watched silently, knowing that humanity had taken its first steps toward true greatness. The asteroid had been diverted, but the real victory lay not in survival alone. It lay in the courage to trust, the wisdom to cooperate, and the compassion to rise above fear. Humanity had faced its test, and for the first time, it had passed. And somewhere in the silent shimmer of the Veyari fleet, Commander Leora saw the promise of a new beginning, a future where humans and Veyari could explore the stars together, united by respect, courage, and hope. The real challenge still awaited Earth's leaders, to decide whether humanity would continue to embrace fear or rise fully to its potential, welcoming those who had taught them the true meaning of greatness. The stars, once distant and cold, now seemed brighter, not just from the light of the sun, but from the light of understanding, courage, and hope that burned in the hearts of two species who had chosen to rise together. The stars sparkled silently above Earth, calm and eternal. Commander Leora stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, watching the Veyari fleet glimmer in the sunlight. Months had passed since their return, months filled with tension, negotiation, and cautious observation. Humanity had learned much from the Veyari, patience, courage, and the quiet power of cooperation, but now, the ultimate decision awaited. Would Earth embrace its opportunity for greatness, or would fear continue to guide its path? The Council gathered for a decisive meeting, this time including representatives from every human colony. Earth had witnessed the Veyari's integrity, their technology, and their calm courage during the recent cosmic threat. The asteroid that could have destroyed billions had been diverted, thanks to the teamwork between humans and Veyari. Still, the Council faced resistance. Fear and old prejudices did not disappear overnight. Councillor Rin, who had been among the most vocal opponents of the Veyari, stood at the front of the chamber. We cannot ignore what is unfamiliar. We must weigh the risk carefully. These beings are not human. Their motives, though peaceful now, may change. How can we be certain? Commander Leora stepped forward, her presence calm but commanding. Councillor Rin, we have proof. They have faced rejection, hostility, and fear. And yet they have shown only patience, dignity, and courage. They saved billions of lives using knowledge and technology that works in harmony with ours. Their presence is not a threat. It is an opportunity. Humanity can rise above fear, as we did during the asteroid crisis. Other council members murmured among themselves, some nodding in agreement, others still cautious. Neriel, standing beside Leora, spoke softly, their voice carrying a quiet authority. Council of Earth, your people have seen our actions. We do not seek power over you. We do not seek your resources or your world. We seek only understanding, cooperation, and a chance to exist in peace. The choice is yours. Fear or courage, isolation or alliance. Silence filled the chamber. Every councillor, every representative, felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had been tested, and now it had to decide not only for the Veyari but for itself. Would they cling to fear, rejecting those who had proven themselves worthy, or would they embrace the qualities that made humanity truly great? Compassion, courage, and wisdom. Finally, Councillor Halvik spoke, his voice firm and resolute. We have witnessed the actions of the Veyari. We have seen their restraint, their cooperation, and their willingness to help without expectation. We have also seen what humanity can accomplish when we work together, even with beings very different from ourselves. It is time to make a choice. Earth will welcome the Veyari. We will create a shared alliance built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. A quiet cheer rose from the council chamber. Leora's heart swelled. The moment she had hoped for had arrived. The Veyari fleet's light seemed to shine brighter, a silent acknowledgement of humanity's courage. The next days were filled with preparation. Earth and the Veyari began constructing a permanent orbital station that would serve as a joint hub for learning, research, and exploration. Humans and Veyari worked side by side, sharing knowledge, technology, and culture. Young scientists studied the Veyari energy systems, which operated efficiently and harmoniously with the environment. Engineers learned methods of sustainable construction that preserved resources and minimized waste. Civilians visited the temporary settlement, offering greetings, gifts, and gestures of goodwill. Commander Leora oversaw every operation, ensuring cooperation remained strong. She watched humans and Vayari form friendships, exchange ideas, and teach one another. Children laughed together as they learned from both human and Vayari educators. Scientists collaborated on projects to improve life across human colonies. Slowly, a new culture of unity and respect emerged. Counselor Rin, once skeptical and fearful, approached Leora one afternoon. "I admit I was wrong," he said quietly. "I did not believe that humans and Vayari could coexist peacefully, but I see now that their presence strengthens us. They have shown us the best of what humanity can become." Leora smiled. "It is never easy to overcome fear, but courage, compassion, and understanding can lead us to greatness. Today you have seen that firsthand." The Vayari fleet remained in orbit, not as strangers but as allies. Their ships shimmered in the sunlight, elegant and dignified, a symbol of hope and unity. Nirael spoke to Leora privately. "Commander, humanity has begun to rise. You have chosen to embrace courage over fear. The Vayari will stand with your people, and together you will explore the stars." Leora felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She knew the journey was only beginning. Earth and the colonies would face new challenges, and cooperation with the Vayari would not always be easy. But for the first time, humanity had made a choice that reflected its true potential. Not for survival alone, but for moral greatness, for wisdom, and for hope. Weeks later, the first joint exploration mission launched from Earth's orbit. Humans and Vayari worked together on advanced spacecraft, combining technology, knowledge, and courage. The mission's goal was to chart new star systems, to seek resources and knowledge, and to establish alliances with other intelligent life. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. It had allies, friends, and a renewed sense of purpose. Commander Leora watched the spacecraft disappear into the stars, her heart filled with pride. The Vayari fleet followed closely, moving gracefully through the void. Together, the two species explored the unknown, guided by intelligence, compassion, and the determination to do what was right. Back on Earth, life began to change. Citizens marveled at the new technology, medical advances, and sustainable energy systems introduced by the Vayari. Education emphasized cooperation, respect, and curiosity. Stories of humanity's choices during the asteroid crisis became legends, teaching future generations the value of courage, empathy, and unity. Even among the colonies, the message spread. Fear gave way to understanding. Humans began to see that true strength was not in isolation or suspicion, but in working together, in embracing diversity, and in striving for moral excellence. One evening, Commander Leora stood on the observation deck of the new orbital station, overlooking Earth and the Vayari fleet. The sun set, casting golden light across the oceans, cities, and mountains. The stars began to twinkle, distant yet familiar, as if welcoming humanity and its new allies to the greater universe. Nirael approached quietly. "Commander Leora, humanity has passed its greatest test. Fear did not guide your actions. Compassion and courage did. Your people have chosen greatness." Leora smiled softly. "We still have much to learn, but today we have proven that humans can rise to the challenge. Together we are stronger. Together we can explore the stars." The Vayari bowed gracefully. "Then let us go forward, not as strangers but as partners. Humanity and Vayari, united in purpose, guided by hope." Leora looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of the moment. This was the beginning of a new era, a time when humans and Vayari would explore, learn, and grow together. A time when humanity's true qualities, compassion, courage, and wisdom would shine across the galaxy. Earth had made its choice. Humanity had embraced its potential. Fear had been faced and overcome. And among the stars, two species moved forward, united, hopeful, and ready to shape a future brighter than any one of them could imagine alone. Commander Leora felt a quiet joy. The Vayari were no longer strangers. Humanity had not only saved itself, but had also welcomed those who had shown the path to true greatness. And as the first joint mission disappeared into the vast expanse of space, Leora whispered, "This is just the beginning. Humanity will rise, and together, we will reach the stars." The stars, once distant and silent, now seemed to shine with warmth, reflecting the courage, compassion, and unity of two species who had chosen to rise together. In that moment, the universe felt less empty, less cold, and infinitely more hopeful. Humanity had finally embraced what it meant to be truly great.